Cross Conversations. Saberi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Delighted to have you here today.
Thank you very much. Very, very glad to be here.
So before anything else, congratulations are in order. You recently got married.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Big event, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
can imagine. And you're moving to India.
Yes, I've already moved and big changes, of course.
That's amazing.
But exciting as well, obviously.
Yeah. What made you to decide to move to India at this stage of your life and career?
Well, to be completely honest with you, it wasn't a part of the plan at all until I decided to get married.
Okay.
Because my love for this city, like love for London just generally is massive.
Yeah.
I'm quite biased about the city. So when Abhishek, my husband, and I, we started speaking about what we were going to do, obviously because we're both in the same field, he's a wonderful solo player, and I'm also in the same field. We, well, in my mind actually, I kind of weighed it out. I was like, he's doing so well in his career. I'm doing pretty well as well, but I was thinking maybe, you know, it'll open new doors, new avenues if I move to India, because obviously there are more Indian classical artists there, there are more events happening there. So in my head I was like, it'll be a nice fresh new start for me, and for him to just leave everything and how well he's doing at that time didn't seem practical. So, you know, we spoke and we said, let's just focus on India. And then we'll, you know, in 3-4 years, we'll see. And we do have plans of coming back to the UK, but for now, I also want to kind of explore the avenues that I have in India.
That's good. It's good to be adventurous, and it's especially good if you have somebody to share that with.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And it helps as well if your principles and your mentality matches.
That's amazing.
Just most things.
Yeah. Do you imagine it's going to be like a reverse culture shock for you in India, or?
Oh yeah, it is. Every time I go. I mean, I've been going to India twice every year since since I've moved to this country, which was when I was about 5.5, 6 years old. And so since then, my parents made sure they took me to India every year. Because,
so you don't lose that connection.
Yeah, you know, the connection with your root. Also, my guru is my grandmother, it's my dad's mother. So I had to stay in touch with her. Get my talim, you know, get my training, make sure that I'm in touch with that side of it, make sure that I'm also seeing other artists perform, and all of that, you know. So because of that, they were taking me there, but it's always so different there.
Absolutely, I can imagine that. Yeah, it's a 24-hour thing rather than like a vacation kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you know that you're going to have to spend a considerable amount of your future there. So you look at things differently as well.
Yeah. So what difference have you seen in the field that you practice in? You're a Kathak dancer, you're also a Tabla artist, and you also sing Hindustani vocal.
Yes.
But mainly you perform as a Kathak dancer.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I mean, differences are...
Maybe it's too early to ask the question, I don't know, but...
No, I mean, to be completely honest, being a Kathak dancer is difficult anywhere. Yeah.
Right.
Just being an Indian classical dancer generally is difficult anywhere.
I agree, yeah.
But I also believe that there are positives in India and there are different positives here, right? And I feel like the positive in India is kind of a given, which is that you have a lot more performances of traditional Indian classical dance. You have a lot more artists, you know, so when you go to a concert, you have the front row is filled with those artists, and you have like the cream of that society, that community sitting and appreciating you, or not appreciating you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, when you get on stage, you're going to have like really big artists or people who understand the art properly. So that's always a very big thing for an artist, to get that appreciation from other artists. But the positivity about this part of the world is that they're very open. And not just about the art form, they're open about what you stand for, they're open about what you speak about. There's not so much restriction on how you have to behave. So I'm not saying necessarily that that's better than that, but all I'm saying is, for me personally, I want to be an artist who wants to be able to express my art, but also be able to express myself as a human being, and I feel I've found that here. Again, maybe I'm biased because I'm from here.
Right. No, but that's a very interesting thing because, you know, it's easy to find freedom in life, but it depends on what you do with that freedom, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, freedom is such a big, it's a really big word. People find freedom in different situations. For me, as an artist, freedom is in what you stand for, not just in your art. It's also about what you stand for in your life.
Right.
And that those two things should never clash. Like if I stand for something in my life, my art should allow me to express that, and vice versa, right? So for me, I wanted to always be around people or be in a space where, of course, freedom in art was there, but also freedom in what I thought was allowed. Allowed is also such a, like, it's a crazy, we're talking about freedom while I'm saying allowed, right? But that's funny,
paradox,
but that's exactly what I'm talking about, that there's a paradox. You say I've got freedom, but do you really?
Do you really? Yeah.
So,
And especially as an artist, you question that even more.
yeah,
So are you saying you find it difficult to differentiate between the person and the artist that they are? Or because I know for audiences it's very easy. Because if they are not personally aware of what kind of a person an artist is, they just see the art form, they appreciate it, which is what it should be.
of course,
But then, as artists ourselves who know somebody probably closely or whatever, how do you make the differentiation? Do you think the differentiation is important, necessary, or?
Yeah, I don't. I don't make the differentiation. Like you said very rightly, audience shouldn't have to decide that. Because they don't know you personally and they're only coming for your art, right? But from a professional point of view, I'm in it to, you know, I'm in this professionally, it's my job, it's also something I love. So I'm going to look at it with a bit more depth. And I personally, I don't, well, I try not to, unless I don't know the person at all, I try not to separate them from the art, because I don't think you can do that. And I'll tell you the reason. We have a very, very strong Guru Shishya Parampara, yes. So the Guru in the first however many years of our talim or training is our lifeline. We go to our Guru for everything, not just for like talim sake, for just, oh, you know, Kathak, I don't know how to, I don't understand this posture, can you explain it to me? No, that's not the only reason we go. In India especially, it's a very, very deep connection with that human being and with how they lead their life. So for me, if in your mind you're like, okay, I don't like what this person stands for personally, but I like their art form, but you're spending, what, 6 days a week with them?
Almost,
and almost 4 or 5 hours a day with them, or even more. I know people who live in a Gurukul, right? Then you're bound to take on those qualities from your Guru, whether they're positive or negative. So I actually think it's really important, even before you look at the art, to look at, is this person going to provide anything to you to kind of boost your personality? Or to put you know, something that you can take from them that's positive, something that you can build on, something that they have that you don't. And I think that should come on a personal level first before artistic.
Right. You know, every person has a good and bad, but there has to be a, I don't know, a place where you say, okay, this much is okay for a person. Like, how does everybody make that? Like, how do you make that?
I don't know about everyone, but I can tell you, there's something that everybody stands for, right? Something that everyone believes. I am someone who's really, really big on feminism. I'm a feminist, and I believe in equality. So if I'm the new generation of this art form. So I want to stand for women having an equal place in this totality, right? Whether it's students, professionals, teachers, gurus, it doesn't matter. But every person deserves an equal chance in everything, an equal opportunity. After that, whether you make it in that or not is up to your skill and up to your, you know, ability to whatever you're doing. So for me to kind of, I like to look at people in that sense now. I really look for that in a person. If I see somebody who's being really derogatory towards anybody of the opposite gender or of their gender, it doesn't matter because of a difference in stature. It doesn't have to be just in gender. I'm saying whether it's a guru to a student or whether it's a senior student to a junior student. For me, I really look for that, because when you're somebody who does that and you discriminate in that way, you're making the learning space quite toxic. And if you're not able to speak about that, what's worse is if you're not able to speak about that freely and, you know, say, I don't like this, and you're being stopped from speaking about it, that's even more toxic. So the first stage is, okay, I've understood that there's a problem here. But the second stage is, but I can't talk about it, because if I do, it's going to affect who I can learn from, or it's going to affect how many concerts I get. etc., etc. So I look for that. I look for people, artists, fellow artists, who are taking this issue seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you personally, you don't need to answer if it's too personal, but have you personally faced situations where you have spoken out your mind, but then that has affected you in direct or indirect ways?
Yeah, ever since I was, I think, about 15, 16 years
Okay.
old. I'm 25 now, so that's like 10 years.
Right.
You know, when I say this to some people, they're like, you're only 25, why are you acting like so much has happened in your life? I'm sure not a lot has happened, but I'm saying whatever has is quite a lot in my head, right? But the problem, like I said, is not that people don't realize what is wrong in a community. It can be any community. I'm not just talking about Indian classical music and dance. Every community has its negatives,
absolutely,
right? Or things that they need to improve on. But if we understand that, we should be able to sit down with our peers, with our seniors, with our juniors, and have a healthy conversation. How can we make this field have a better infrastructure? You know, and I have faced it many a times because I really, really believe, like I said, in feminism, and I believe in equality, and a lot of, you know, like the Me Too conversation that's happened, I have been very touched by it.
Right.
It changed the way how I look at this field and the way I look at my art. So when you speak about something so big, right, that's not usually spoken about in this field, and it's not. There's not a lot that's usually spoken about in this field other than the art, right? So then when suddenly a person or a group of people come out and say, oh, actually somebody you all really revered has done something like this, everyone's like, no, you're lying.
Yeah.
But this is not true. And so no one wants to listen to you. And if you're a person like me who knows that this stuff does happen, and you've heard that this news is now out, and you support it, or you speak out for it, then people don't like you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a natural reaction, I don't know, but they don't like you because they're like, why are you... No, our field of art is absolutely fine how it is. So there's a denial of wanting to improve the community.
Right.
And again, that's a very, very deep, I think it's a very deep-rooted thing, like where it comes from, because our art relates to spirituality. It's very rooted in our culture and tradition, in you know, mythology.
Right.
So because of that, we feel that our art can do no wrong, or the people in it can do no wrong, because they're creating this sublime music and this art that the people must also be sublime and beautiful. That's not always the case. So when we don't start to realize that there's a difference between the art and the artist, we're just kind of like, no, the art and the artist, they're both amazing, you know. But that's, you know, it's not reality. And sometimes reality is scary. Absolutely. So when somebody comes out with the reality, they're like, whoa, stop, don't, I don't want to hear about this. And then there's denial, and then finally there's, we don't want to listen to you, we don't want you in our community, and we don't want you to be performing anywhere.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, look, I understand that there are many reasons for all of this to happen, but at the end of the day, I believe that it shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely. No woman should have to go through
No woman,
whether she's an artist or not.
Yeah, no one should have to. And second of all, if there is a woman or a man or anyone speaking out about this, you can't shut them up.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, is one thing. And second is you can't. It's just wrong. So for me, when I see people who are, and then you're an enabler, because you're stopping someone else from speaking something you know is the truth.
Yeah.
And you are suddenly a part of that group of people who have allowed this to go on for years and years and years. And then that's a problem. So I don't want to be an artist who is an enabler. And that's why I stand up for what I believe, and I stand up for what I know is going on, not just in this field, everywhere, but obviously because I'm in it.
So you're more involved with this?
I'm involved with this field. And I do feel that the only thing that can change this is what we're doing right now, which is conversing.
Just talk about
when you open your conversation, that's when things start changing. It takes many, many years, but it does change.
Eventually, And I think this shutting down of people and not listening to them happens because of various reasons. If it is people close to you, they don't want you to speak up because of fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Please don't speak up because otherwise you will suffer.
Mm.
It's genuine concern which is misplaced out of fear. And then there are those who are threatened because it threatens their power. Right? So how do you navigate that? Like, because on one side it is your art and your career and everything else as well. So how do you like balance that, or like how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I'm struggling with that at the moment. People know that you have capability in the art form. For example, let's say, right, people know you in your field and you're an amazing dancer or an artist, or they know you have so much talent. They will back you until you say something that they don't like to hear. Once you've said that, they will no longer back you because they're like, I don't want to be seen with her, or I don't want to call her to a festival, and then she stands for all of this, right? And she's on stage, and so people just don't like that very much. I don't know what else I can say about it, but the fact of the matter is, it's not a nice place to be. It's great to speak up for what's the truth. I like it. I wouldn't change it for anything. But it does have adverse effects, and it has had on me. Of course, I shared with you the story, but I spoke out about a certain issue which was to do with Me Too, and as a result, I actually lost out on a concert because they believed that what I stood for was going to go against me, and well, not against me, was going to go against them.
Yeah.
So and because it's a very, very small community, everyone knows everybody. So if you're a Kathak dancer, you know all the Kathak dancers.
Yeah.
If you're a Bharatanatyam dancer, you know all the Bharatanatyam dancers. Everybody knows everybody. So because everyone knows everybody, it's also a positive and it's also a negative. Positive in the sense it's great, you have a close-knit community.
Yeah.
A lot of positive can come out of that. Negative is, well, if those 40 people are against you, then you don't really have a lot of space to go into, right?
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah. So yes, it's difficult. I haven't navigated, and that's the truth. I'm still fighting with myself about whether I should keep speaking out or whether I should shut up, or like what do I do?
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's like, just be quiet. Like there's no need. Why do I need to speak about other people's problems? That comes to me. I'm a human being. It comes into my head.
Yeah.
Then I think, what if one day it happens to me? I'm in a learning space and somebody touches me inappropriately.
Then
somebody speaks to me, and nobody around me, people who I think are my friends, people who I think are my seniors, people who say, oh Saberi, you're such a great artist, none of them stand up for me. What happens then? I'm all alone. So I keep thinking that, and I keep juggling between the two things, and I haven't come to a conclusion, and I don't think I will. I think
a ongoing
you
battle.
just keep going with that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You spoke about community, and community is a very, what do you say, informal space, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk of organizations, I personally feel that one of the main things an organization should do, especially an arts organization, is to educate the public about what the art is. But if they are going to not stand up for artists, then what exactly are they presenting? So in that situation, how do you maintain your agency and your freedom as an artist and what you put out?
Yeah, this is hard. I mean, the first thing I want to speak about is the time that you're given on stage. So I know for a fact, I don't know what happens in the Carnatic field, but in the Hindustani field, if you're a musician, you're given more time on stage. As a Kathak dancer nowadays, you get 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And for Kathak, that's just not enough. What are you going to present? You're like, obviously in dance you go through a repertoire, right? Obviously in Bharatanatyam there's a repertoire, in Kathak there's a repertoire. And you want to get through all of that, you want to present everything, and you can't get through that in 15 minutes. They're giving you 15 minutes and then sometimes no money, right?
Yeah.
And you just feel like, but they're saying we're promoting the art, but are you? Because you're not. What are you giving back to the
audience?
To the
what
community?
are they taking back? Yeah.
What are the audience taking back? Still, audience might take back 5% of something, but what are we taking back?
As artists.
You know, this is my profession. I don't want to keep performing for free. I might have to, but I don't want to. They're two different things. I can't blame people as well. I used to be very black and white about this. I used to be like, you shouldn't be performing for free. And I've said it as well in many interviews.
Right.
think of it a little bit differently now. You can't keep performing for free, that's true.
Right.
But you also sometimes can't help it. You want
Yeah.
a platform. You're not getting a platform for many days, and suddenly you get one that's not giving you money. Are you gonna say no to it, or are you just gonna do it for free?
Right.
It's a difficult place to be. So I think organizers, I don't know, I think sometimes they're just like, I'm promoting the art, and they think they're doing such a wonderful thing. And they are for the audience, but they're not doing a lot for the artists. Because yes, they might be getting the platform, but they're not getting something to take back home.
Yeah.
To
Something
live their lives
substantial.
with, yeah. And at the end of the day, yes, we're artists. Yes, we feed our souls with the art, and what else?
So you need to feed your stomach.
Yeah. You know, I need to survive. I'm not just gonna feed myself Kathak. Yeah. I have to feed myself food, and I need to have shelter, and I need to. If you have a family and you have to take responsibility of your family, then that's that.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a real disparity when it comes to that. And there's so many issues, this is the other one, that we don't talk about because everyone wants opportunities.
Yeah.
So then they end up not talking about this.
Yeah. And the other thing that happens when there are not enough opportunities is almost all dancers end up being teachers very young. And fine, if they want to do it from their heart, it's fine. But not every good dancer can be a good teacher or a choreographer. So when everybody just ends up doing that just for financial stability, it's definitely going to affect the future of the art. Because they're going to churn out mediocre students.
Exactly.
Because they're not able to train them that way.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the first things we need to change is how we teach people. Because why are you only teaching them to be performing artists? Maybe not everyone who learns dance or music wants to be a performer.
Right, yeah.
Maybe they want to be a teacher. And surely the training or the talim to be a guru or a teacher is different to what the talim is to become a performer, right? Or to become a writer about arts. There are so many people who are art critics, right? So I think we haven't really looked into those avenues, and maybe we should think about that, because there are so many, especially young people now, who want to write about the arts, who want to make videos about the arts, who now, because YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they're so big, they want to make videos about, I don't know, like a video on what is the repertoire of Kathak. But how do they do that if they don't have that training? And so we're making everybody into performers, but not, like you said, not everyone will be a great performer. And then because there's no money, it's a vicious cycle. They're not getting enough money from performing, so they're going into teaching, and not everybody
is a good teacher.
So all of that is very, very complicated. I mean, it's a topic that you and I could go on
forever
for the whole day. There are so many points you would need to speak about. But all I feel is that there's not a lot of money in the field, and there's not a lot of people with that need to just sit and talk about things.
Right.
And I feel any community or any field that improves itself or takes itself forward, the first quality that it has is to sit together, talk about what are the positives of our field, what are the things we need to improve on. And I don't think that second bit happens very much.
Yeah. Coming to your art, so you practice 3 different forms, don't you? You're a Kathak dancer, you're a Tabla artist, and you're a Hindustani vocal trained singer.
Yes.
So how do you define your identity as an artist?
I mean, obviously, Kathak is my primary subject.
Right.
But I have vocal and Tabla in the family because my dad's obviously a Tabla player, my mother's a Hindustani vocal singer. And so because of that, I've grown up with those 2 disciplines around me my whole life. And as amazing as it is, they both really help Kathak. Because in the olden days, Kathak dancers would do all 3. They would dance, they would play a rhythmic instrument, and they would sing, or they would say whatever they were presenting, whatever story. Kathak is, Katha, story telling. So they would do all 3 of those things together. And my great-grandfather, Pandit Jailal ji, was also the same. He was a dancer, he was a tabla player, he used to play the flute, he used to play the harmonium, he used to play the pakhawaj. So usually Kathak dancers were people who knew more than one discipline, more than Kathak. And my great-grandfather also used to write bhajans and, thumris and things like that. So because of that, I was lucky. I grew up with that around me, and I picked it up subconsciously. Picked up tabla subconsciously, picked up singing subconsciously, and then obviously I started going to my parents' classes, and I saw that it's just so helpful for a Kathak dancer. So, you know, more than a dancer, I like to say that I'm just an artist, because on stage I am able to now, recently I've started doing this where whatever I dance to, so a tumri or a bhajan or whatever, I sing it myself. Simultaneously I sing and I dance at the same time on stage live, and I also do the paran, so the syllables that I speak, the balls that I speak, I do that as well. And it's challenging because obviously as a dancer you're using so much of your energy anyways, and then when you're singing at the same time you're using more of your breath, and when you're saying, doing all the recitation, you're using more of your breath. So it's really good actually, because as a dancer you get to train, your stamina is improved as a result, and it's also something that's different that not a lot of people have seen. It means that I can grow as an artist, you know. It opens my avenues of how to present my Kathak. And it also means that I can have less accompanying artists on the side. Which hopefully means that organisers don't have to think about how much to pay my accompanying artists and me. But aside from that, it's also great for my presentation. So yeah, for me, it's about being an overall artist rather than I'm just a Kathak dancer and that's all I do. And like I said, I just want to do something different. I want to keep the tradition going. I don't want to dilute the art form. But I want to present it differently. So yeah, that's how I would like to be seen as an artist, really.
And that's the most beautiful thing about Indian classical arts, aren't they? Everything is complementary.
Exactly.
Nothing is like separated.
No, nothing at all. And in fact, the best thing is, because especially in Kathak, things are meant to be very improvised and very on the spot. So your interaction with the accompanying artist is really fun to watch for the audience. You know, so that's the amazing thing about our arts. That the interaction is so spontaneous. It's not like you've sat before and you've decided how you're going to react. That's not how it works. Nothing is on paper. It's all in your head. It's all inside. So whatever comes out is a organic reaction. You know, of both, or all three, or all four of the artists on stage.
So when you say you want to present it differently, how do you mean?
Many ways. The first way is, like I said, because I know 2 other art forms, it's great for me to connect the 3. That's one. The other is I really want to speak about other topics through my dance. We've been doing, and I understand that it's the base of our art form. You know, these mythological stories, Krishna, Shiva, Shakti. But I think we're at a stage now in the world, politics, whether it's politics or social issues, where we can use our art form to speak about other topics, such as Me Too, such as global warming. There's so many things. I haven't done it yet. I'm in the process of thinking of ideas of how to do it, because it's not easy. You're so used to a repertoire, you're so used to talking about the same stories, it's easy to fall into that and just stay comfortable in it. So that's another way I'm trying to look at just making my own stories around different themes, and then portraying it, storytelling through my art. So I want to do that, and I also want to use more lighting, more technology, because I think Indian classical arts has kind of fallen into this: the dancer comes in, somebody announces your name, dancer comes in, dancer speaks, dancer dances, then the dancer goes off, the dancer comes in, does something else and leaves, right? It's repetitive. We're in a world now where everything is moving forwards, and I think our art also needs to move forward in a presentation way. You can keep your traditions,
but the way you present it, because you're not dancing in temples anymore. So.
Exactly.
Or in a king's court.
So. And it's not all facing this way and dancing for these people. You can use the whole stage, and you can use, a screen behind you. You can use the lighting. Lighting is something as well that we don't use as dancers at all, really. Still in Bharatanatyam. Still in Bharatanatyam though. I have seen it, because in Bharatanatyam, I don't know, I've seen it. It's just something I like about that dance form. They try and use lighting in different ways. Like you say, in group performances there's more use of lighting, but I think in solo performances we don't. There's so much we can do. We can just concentrate on the feet with the light. We
Yeah.
can just concentrate on the face with the light. There's so
Yeah.
much we can do that we haven't really tried.
Yeah.
So right now I am in the process of thinking of different ways of presenting
Yeah.
Kathak in its traditional form, but presented
But presented
differently. Yeah, in a more
differently,
modern way.
Yeah, I think we should start having customized auditoriums for Indian classical dance, because as you said, it's not one-dimensional. That's
No.
something that the Western theatre brought us,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If you have like a open theatre,
Absolutely.
that would work so well, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's how it used to happen in the temples. The dancer would be in the middle, and then there's people sitting around you,
Yeah.
and you would literally dance around so that every single person got to see your face.
It's
at some point.
multi-dimensional.
Yeah, and you're telling the story while you're moving around, and we don't have that, like you said. So we have to find other ways of doing that. Even if you don't get a round stage that revolves,
How
or you
would
can,
you-
how would you move?
Move through it.
And we don't always need to have this many accompanying artists. I think we as artists also need to become a bit more open and not be like, I have to have 4 accompanying artists, or I have to have them sitting here
Yeah.
or there. You have to open up a little bit about that. So yeah, I think there's a lot.
Lots of
Many
potential
ways.
there. Yeah.
we can go.
Yeah. Awesome. So we have come to our final segment now.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I have this little container with random words written on it. So there are nouns, there are adjectives, blah blah blah, what have you. Pick one, and whatever comes into your mind, just speak about it.
Maybe we can take turns and do it. I can go
Sure, we
once
can
and
do
you
alternate.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Maybe that'll be a bit more
Sure.
interesting. I'm sure people have heard me enough. And try and. Okay. This is solitude.
Oh wow.
Okay. Solitude. Interesting. I mean, as a solo artist, it feels like you're in solitude on stage. I think it's something, like I said just now, we need to explore. You have so many people on stage with you. This is more of an artistic point of view. But I think you see Kathak dancers very rarely, just them on stage, commanding the stage.
Right.
There's a lot of input from the tabla player, a lot of input from the vocalist. But there's so much just a dancer has to give.
Yeah.
And for example, I actually have been doing a little segment in my performance where I do a 9 beat cycle, and I do it without any accompanying artists.
Okay.
So that's been something that I've been trying to do. So I don't use any accompanying artists, I just do it myself. So solitude on stage is something I think we can explore. And just as artists, I think we need to think about, just think about ourselves sometimes. What are our opinions about things, and not think about what other people want us to feel. And for that, you kind of need to be alone. I don't think there's a lot of space, a lot of solitude that you get in India.
Right.
There's either family around you or artists around you.
Things are changing, is what I've heard, but yeah.
Hopefully.
Right.
When I go to India, there's always someone around you. So finding solitude in that is a challenge. But yeah, as an artist and personally, it's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hesitation. I think we all face that sense of fear, and that fear, it doesn't have to come from fear. It might also be out of, sometimes they say people are scared of their own power within, how much they can accomplish. They are sometimes scared of their own potential.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people mistake that for fear, and that is where the hesitation steps in, whether you're an artist or whether you're working in any other field or even in life in general. I think hesitation is a key emotion where if you start hesitating about something, you should definitely go do it, because that kind of tells you that that's the right path, but you're afraid, which is not a good thing, or you're afraid of your own potential, which is horrible. So
Also not a good thing.
yeah. So
That was a hard one.
it was.
Okay, next one. Wow. Oh. Is that okay, follow?
Yeah.
Okay, follow. Oh gosh. Getting all these. Okay. Follow. I guess it's a very neutral word. Because nowadays, follow usually means Instagram.
That's the
That's the go-to. How many followers do you have? I think follow is still, like I was saying, it's a very neutral word, because you can either follow someone for inspiration, or you can follow them so much that you start copying them. So there's a very fine line
Right.
between how much you follow.
Interesting.
And maybe if you cross that line, it's no longer called following, because, well, you're not really following them, you're copying them,
You're
right?
imitating.
So following can be just, I think that following has to be more of a, you follow them to see what they're doing, maybe take some good things from what they're doing, and then make your own path that other people can follow and learn from. But it's a very difficult word, and I said social media because social media falls on the other side of
Right.
almost copying. Because you follow someone so much every day, daily, you want to see them waking up and then going to sleep. And it's no longer just about admiring them, it's more about, then it becomes obsessive, and you're like, oh my god, why is she posting that photo, and why
You
is
start
she
becoming
there?
judgmental, don't you? Yeah.
So following can be dangerous.
Interesting take.
Yeah.
Okay, not bad. Home.
Oh, that's very good.
It's similar to solitude though.
Yeah.
Home. Everybody keeps talking about home, finding home, and home is in love, home is in family, home is in your heart, blah blah blah. But I don't think, not being pessimistic, but I really don't think anybody actually finds home in their life at all. I think actual home is after you leave this body. Because as a dancer, I have felt actually limited by my body, which is the opposite of what most dancers feel, because it's the instrument, right? But after a point for me, it was like there are only certain movements that my hands can do because I have only two hands. So what am I expanding as a dancer, right? So that felt constricted, and that's the same with the world that we live in and the society. So I don't think, at least for me, I don't think I would ever find that complete sense of home. Again, not in the sense of loss or of dejection or anything, but just an understanding of, yeah, this is what it is, and that's it.
No, I think that's a really good take, and I think you shouldn't say that you're not being pessimistic. I think we need more pessimistic people in the world. That's my, I mean, maybe that's a
has its own
controversial
charm to it,
statement.
doesn't it?
Yeah, I think
Power to
a lot more change and a lot more critical analysis can come from sometimes being pessimistic. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last one?
Yes, last
Yeah.
one. Right, there's lots of chits. Okay, hope I get a easy one. Spirituality, my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Today's energy is a bit
Oh,
like home, spirituality.
Well, I'm going to be, I think I'm going to, okay.
You can pick another one if you want.
No, it's fine, it's fine. It's challenging, it's good. For me, spirituality in this day and age is really, really overhyped. I think it's very simple. Spirituality is actually very simple. We've made it into a really complex thing and said you can't achieve spirituality if you don't do this and if you don't do that and if you're not like this and if you're not a very composed person, you cannot be spiritual and da 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 da. But spirituality is so simple. It's and that's definitely not something I have achieved or something that I can say I have become comfortable with. I'm not at all. But I think that it's a very simple thing. It's pretty much being happy in the present, where you are, with whoever you are, with whatever you're doing, and if you believe in something, just go with the flow, and don't really think about what other people are saying about you. I think that's the highest point of being spiritual. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think we've really complicated it because there's so much of this. Now we like to connect spirituality to music as well, and so when we do that, sometimes we overanalyze things. Like we close our eyes and we're like, oh wow, that bit that he played is so spiritual, and we don't really know what we're talking about, but we're just saying that because the word spirituality sounds nice to say, right?
Right.
But it's a really simple thing. It's just you're happy in the moment and you're going with the flow and you don't really care what anyone else is saying about you, and you're I think so. Let's not complicate that word. Great words, by the way. Well done.
It was from a random word generator on Google.
None of them are generic words.
Exactly. There are a few generic words, but I think we've
We
been
missed
lucky today.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah. Saberi, it was amazing talking to you today. Thank you so much for being here.
No, it's been wonderful being here, and it's been a stimulating conversation, which is the main thing. It's been so stimulating, and like an exchange of ideas.
Mm.
It's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Sure. I hope you all have enjoyed today's show. I'll see you again next week. Until then, take care. Namaste. We just randomly chat for the credits and stuff.
Yeah, okay, great. Let's
So-
keep randomly chatting.
Yeah.
No, these words are
Doesn't have
really
to make
cool.
sense. Thank you.
Very good words.
Wait, can we stop for a moment?
Is it
This
good?
camera doesn't have any more memory.
To not just know about the artists' lives and what they are doing, but more. Sorry, can I just do that again?